interesting project. This is a 1910 U Gibson Harp guitar. So I'm in the process of getting this back together. I'm lucky enough that I have all the parts, but I'm going to have to do some repair work. I got to make some pins. I'm doing some crack repair. You can see there is a tension rod here to adjust the neck, and it uses 10 B strings. So as the repair progresses, I'm going to show you what I had to do, and I guess you could say this is going to be an interesting project. Well, good morning. I'm working on this old Gibson. Right now what I'm deciding is what glues do I want to use. Okay, there was an attempted repair on this crack, so it's kind of locked up. I'm going to try to open it up. So I have 3 glues of choice. One is hot hide glue, which may or may not work. Tight bond, also super glue, not even in the forecast. I may be using the West Systems Epoxy because it's good at gap filling. Hide glue, because of the amount of cracks and the time it takes to work with it and the contamination in each crack, hide glue may not be my first choice. So right now what I have to do is I have to clean all of these cracks out, and I will tell you right now, don't squirt water in there. Don't put naphtha in there. Blow it out with air first. Let's see what there is. Then you have some material called oxalic acid. There's a couple of things that you can use to properly clean the joint. So just don't think you're flooding it with glue and clamping it. It's a carved top. It's very difficult to get them back even and level. All right, as you know, I'm working on this old harp guitar. What I did is I put a teeny tiny drop of glue on here so that I can manipulate this in here. This crack is shrunk over time and it's a little too wide to just be able to clamp and close. So I'm going to be putting this in, and the glue of choice here will probably be some form of epoxy. So each crack seems to be calling for its own glue. So just don't assume one glue is going to fix every issue. Okay, now there's going to be a trick that I can use to get this to where I want it to go. And I'm going to be using these clamps here, well, I should say clamps, but these magnets here to help glue that in. So in this case I will be using tight bond, and the reason I'm using tight bond is its ability to work with a gap, and it is a solid glue. Now you can see I'm kind of checking the magnetic attractive. I can put this right here, come down here, and there we go. I can literally assure that that is right where that magnet and that clamp is going, or that spline is going to hold. Okay, I have my little piece of spruce that's glued in here, but from the shrinkage of this guitar, I don't know if you can see it, but there's definitely no way of getting that closed up. So the glue of choice in this position, I'm going to take this ribbon and I'm going to glue that in here. And I'm going to glue a piece down here. And then I'm going to use epoxy. That way I can seal all of this up and do some nice little finish work to hide it up. Because there's no way you're going to squish this together and close that up. A lot of you are going to see out there where you can rehydrate the guitar. Sad part is this guitar is 115 years old. You aren't going to get it to close up, and that gap has been there for a long time. So you have to take a look at what's the best for this individual instrument. Also, you got to remember what you are doing. Is it reversible in case something better comes out? So remember that. From my shop to yours anyway. Alrighty, so I'm getting ready to do my gluing up. I already did one application of an epoxy here to close this gap up, and you can see it has started to tighten this up pretty good. I have, I'm using SB, here's what I'm using. West Systems Epoxy 206 hardener, 105 resin. That makes a very good epoxy for this position. The first one actually kind of stiffened everything up. This is going to be a filling process. So it is a process. You can't do it all at one time. You have to do it in steps. All right, so now this is a 5-to-1 mix of epoxy. I mix 5 parts resin, 1 part hardener. I use these little pipettes. And normally I put tape on here, but you wouldn't be able to see what I'm doing with the tape on. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to suck up some of the epoxy here. All right, I'm going to grab a paper towel and I'm gently going to flow this into the gap. So you can see I kind of let it beat up a little bit. And then that's going to fill the void. And then I can come back on top of this with some color and blend this all in later. So you'll see that process. This is all about now closing up the gaps that were created because of the amount of shrinkage. I don't know how long this sat in an attic, but I'm going to figure it probably sat there a very long time. Now what I'm going to do, I'll come back in about an hour because this epoxy is not going to set hard for 24 hours. So I can come back here in about an hour or so, and I have a razor blade here, and I'll just shear what's sitting above the top. The epoxy cured here. Now I'm going to have to work this down with the scraper. I'm not going to worry too much about this because up here at this end, it's under the pick guard, but I will get it scraped down. I will have to use some colorant, probably some black dye to cover some of the light areas, and that's debatable how much I want to do. I don't want to make it look like a brand new guitar. But I ordered the strings yesterday. I found out what we're going to be tuning to, so I'll give you all of that information later. I am going to have to do some fret work here, so I'll probably do that today yet. And you can see I put rubber bands on here so I don't lose any of the bushings. So you'll see this in a little bit. Okay, now I used the scraper to knock down the high spots. There's still a little bit of sink because the epoxy shrank back. And I can reach in here, my ribbon's nice and tight, everything's good. You can hear it's nice and solid. So there is a product that I like to use. It's actually used in the flooring industry. And to put it in, it's just a little tube of filler. I found you can find them on Amazon. And this stuff works really nicely. So I can work it into the cracks, and it's not hard, kind of like as you can see, it's just a little tube. Oops, there we go. And you can see it's going to fill into the cracks. It's water cleanup. That's the other nice thing about this stuff. And you can see how it just fills the cracks up nicely. And the international glue application tool that we were born with. And when I'm all done doing this, I'll come back later and I'm going to cover some of the spots with some black dye. And it covers up really nice. It's easy to work, not very difficult, and it will dry in about 24 hours. I'll be able to come back and hit this with steel wool and clean her up. Well, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. I am actually getting ready to do the fretwork. So you can see I have my fretting bar on there. These are bar frets. I have all of the strings in. So now I'm going to do the fretting and then the setup. Well, we're at the stringing stage, and what I'm doing right now is I'm putting a couple strings on here so I can get the inside and outside and adjust the spacing at the saddle. You can see this kind of moves a little bit, so I have to get a decent little load on here, but it actually does. It's solid, and I can adjust the action. The fret job was leveled, all is good there. I have nice neck relief, and believe it or not, we use this to adjust neck relief. But it's not that difficult. I was surprised it came together rather well. So, like I said, the important thing is here. The tuning is kind of confusing. There's a number of different ways to do the tunings, and well, we're just going to put it together and see how it goes. Okay, I went by the width at the 12th fret was 2 1/8. That gives you about a 420 thousandths, 425 thousandths spacing, and that's exactly what I gave the spacing on this saddle. Now I had to make a new saddle or bridge, whatever you want to call it, and you can see there's a bit of a bend in there. So that was kind of a fun thing to figure out so that I got decent intonation on the guitar. The other thing that is going to drive you crazy is these tuners are square-headed tuners. So you have to use a 1/4 inch square head, which I actually modified a 1/4 inch ratchet to make it work. So that's how you do it. Okay, well, it's all strung up. It's kind of a learning curve. There's all different kinds of ways to string this up, so I'm going to assume from what they're telling me, you kind of tune it up for your happiness. There is a number of tunings, typical good tuning on the guitar, and they're just chromatic. So I can't play it, but at least you can see this is what it looks like when it's all done.